Egypt is not Africa, Your Majesties. Egypt is not Africa. Yeah, Egypt is N-O-T, Africa, not Africa. These are not my words, but we will find out soon. Kings and Queens, Your Majesties, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for returning. Trust you enjoy so well and you're loving yourself and others like always. Many thanks to all of you for the support you give to the channel. Thank you so much to our channel members, to our anonymous supporters, to all of you my still subscribers. You love, celebrated, and appreciated. I came across some short clip and I said, what do I gain if I do not show this to you? And then we have a deliberation about it. We have talked about Egypt here for some time now. I think I've made about 2-3 videos on Egypt, the history, how Egypt became white all of a sudden, and where the melanated originals of that land, where they were pushed to, and how they are being deprived up until this time. Okay, we've had some deliberations about that here. And just recently, I saw something again, and I said, I want us to look into this, and then we'll have more discussion. Now, according to this person, Egyptian civilization was created by white people. So he claimed that his own people were the ones that created the Egyptian civilization. So I don't know if they will be dragging this with the Arabs who were there. Because they'll tell you Egypt is an Arab world. It doesn't have anything to do with Africa. And mind you, it's not just Egypt. Sudan as well. There are some Sudanese who come tell you that they are not Africans. What do you call these other ones? There are some Moroccans that come tell you they are not Africans. They come outrightly. They tell you openly that they are not Africans. They don't have anything to do with Africa. And then you ask them, but you are in the continent, and they tell you we are in the continent doesn't mean that we are African. Yeah, this is how far the desire to cut off from Africa is, and it is quite unfortunate. So let's listen to this short information, and I'm gonna take it up from there, Your Majesties.
The Egyptians are not African. I'm sorry.
Do you know where Egypt is?
Yes, it's in
Where?
North Africa.
Okay, stop. Stop right there. You just said that you said the Egyptians are not African.
Are white South Africans African?
Wait. Yes, they are African. See, okay, to be African means you come from the continent of Africa. So if you come from the continent of Africa, that's who you are. So that means you're an African. So you do know. Do you also deny science that man originated from Africa, or do you say that's false science?
What are you talking about? I mean, what are you referring to?
I'm talking
science.
Archaeology. I'm talking biology. I'm talking science in terms of the where did man originate? Where scientists, white scientists.
Egypt was an amazing civilization. It was not created by black Africans. I'm sorry.
It wasn't. Who created it?
People who are white.
How are people?
You can look you can actually look at art, and they differentiate between races.
I got to ask you a question. How do you
from ancient Egyptian art?
You do know those were black people. You do know. You do know from science you can't get black from white. You can get white from black. You do know when it comes to evolution.
What?
When it comes.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Do you never studied science?
I see what you're. Yes, I have.
No, so
I mean, I'm not a scientist.
But
are you?
But man originated in Africa. Yes or no?
That is a consensus. Yes.
Okay. So if man originated in Africa, which means that they were Africans, then all of a sudden, when you talk about the amazing works of the Egyptians, they were people of color. I know that's a little rough for you to handle, but I know you want to hold on to that, somehow thinking whites built the pyramids. But I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, we did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Because, first of all, they were building things in Egypt while white Europeans were still in caves. That's a fact.
That's
a fact. Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Oh my goodness, Your Majesties, we've heard that. With all conviction, he's having this argument. And the truth is that he's not alone with thoughts like this. A lot of his kind believe that they own the world, they civilize the world. This is the narrative that they pass out there for people. and they want the whole world to believe this narrative of theirs that everyone look at them as gods on earth, and we be wondering, these people are so powerful, these people are so powerful. I was like that many years ago, while growing up, little, believing that, oh, the white man is so powerful, so strong, the creator technologies and everything. Not until I began to, learn later in my life that a lot of the things that we know while we're growing up as children are not the truth. And do you know that a lot of people are still in that state? Their mind are still like that. They're still some. A majority would die that way because the desire to unlearn and relearn is not there. Okay, now, to come out boldly and say that white people, civilized, the Egyptian civilization was created by white people, this shows the level of ignorance. And is it ignorance, or I don't know? There's a word I want to use, but it's not coming up. To tell the world that, well, we own everything. So Egyptian civilization should be part of our job, part of our work. We are the creator of most of this civilization, which is not true. When you read history very well, you understand that the African man and woman civilized the world. Okay, we civilized the world, and they in turn colonized us. So these are two different. You understand civilization and colonization. The African people civilize people wherever they go to. There's nowhere you see an African man colonizing people or a group of people. We always civilize the world because we have a touch with the creator, that spark of life. We always want to renew, we always want to refresh, we always want to create, okay? Because we have that connection. But there are some people who only know how to colonize people, okay? Go to a place, you see people existing, kill them, kill the strong ones. How do they kill the strong ones? They manipulate people, pretend as if you're powerless, and in turn, take advantage of them, take them out anyhow. The weaker ones, you dominate, control them, and take over their resources. This is exactly what we see from history, from ancient time. Go to a town, unalive people take over. Unalive people take over. Okay, marry their women, have children, dominate the place, wipe out, wash out, whitewash the people. Is this not what we've been seeing from history up until this time? I'm not being no, I'm just pointing out facts here. You can tell me this is exactly what they did to the whole world, not just Africa. Any part of the world where they go to, this is what they do. They colonize the people, and in turn claim that they are the owner of that place. And that is why they always have problem with people when it comes to owners of the land. We have seen this happening in Palestine. We have seen this happening in America with the natives, originals. We've seen this happen in different parts of the world where they have visited. They always go to destroy and claim that which had existed. They never created anything. Your Majesties. So to hear someone like this coming out boldly to say, okay, it's we that created this, we civilized, this civilization, this ancient civilization is part of our own doing. I don't know whether I should laugh at this or should get angry about this, Your Majesties. I don't know at all. So this man is trying to compare the situation of South Africa and Egypt. We are aware how the whitewashing of Egypt happened. Okay? How Egypt passed through phases of destructions. We are aware of that. We have had that discussion here. And then we have a young white man who is saying that the situation of South Africa is same as the situation of Egypt. It is obvious white South Africans are settlers. And it will be that way. No matter whatever they claim, they are settlers, so they will remain settlers. They are not owners of that land. Because their ancestors came from somewhere and occupied that piece of land. Your Majesties, this is exactly what Julius Malema keep flogging here. There will be a time that if this is not taken care of, they will wipe out the originals of that land. I just hope the case of South Africa will not be the case of Palestine, Your Majesties. Anyway, listen to some of these deliberations, and then I'm going to see you in my next one. Until then, love yourself, love others, stay safe, stay positive. Always Your Majesty.
All right, and so I just want you to understand that the Egyptians we now see are conquerors, just like people who came here and took this land from the Indians, so that they're not indigenous to Africa, those who now rule Egypt. And Egypt is just as much a part of Africa as Birmingham or Alabama is part of the so-called United States.
Let me add
Wait,
this.
let me just be clear on this. So what you're saying to me now is that the people that we see, Sadat and all those guys, are not true Egyptians?
No.
The fact that
Sadat's mother was a Sudanese. Nasser's mother was a Sudanese, but their fathers were Arab conquerors. The one that was the African was Mohammed Naguib, the first president of Egypt, the one that overthrew Farouk. But 1 year after that, since he was looking for a hookup with the other Nile Valley countries as it used to be in antiquity, he was removed by the Arab conquerors. The Arabs didn't come to Egypt until 640. The first non-African people came to Egypt, otherwise called the Hyksos, in 1675 BC. The Africans there were already in the 13th dynasty period. They had built every pyramid you saw there before. They had done the S-turn in the Nile. They built every one of the major temples that had already been built, including the Grand Lodge of Luxor. The first European to come there did not arrive until the Greeks arrived with Alexander II, the son of Philip of Macedonia.
Look, I'm a college graduate. I never heard all this stuff before.
Because they didn't intend to teach you that. They can't tell you that you're inferior and teach you that you taught Europe. The first Europeans to be civilized by the Africans were the Greeks. When you heard of Homer, the first European to have written anything, you couldn't miss that. They said that Homer wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. And that was not until 833 BC. The Africans had already in 255,000 at the Tassili Mountain. They had the Sibyllian period, first, second, and third, the pre-dynastic period, all the way up. The Africans had produced men like this, Imhotep, the multi-genius that designed the step pyramid of Saqqara. The first man to be a physician that even Hippocrates, the so-called father of medicine, is giving him credit and call him the god of medicine. The Greeks changed his name from Imhotep to Aesculapius. There he is. There he is.
Begin to study African history seriously, and recent archaeological discoveries have now throwing up remarkable things. They found within recent years, for example, that the Africans were producing steel in Tanzania, East Africa, 1500 years before the Europeans. That they had not only entered the age of iron before Europe, but they had jumped into the age of steel. Now what has happened to this? If you go back into Tanzania today, you cannot find this. You cannot find that kind of development. Therefore, you begin to be aware that colonization, the conquest of Europe, didn't drag people up. It actually smashed things that were happening there. Now these things are coming out of the earth because archaeology is beginning to recover these things. African history cannot be recovered, and even American history, early history, cannot be recovered like European history, because Europe has had the advantage after the conquest of having about 5 centuries of fairly settled history. They can go to their libraries, etc., in spite of the wars. But in Africa, the library is in the ground. The record of what has happened, the broken record, lies there. Now they're finding astronomical observatories. 2 years ago, they found that the Africans were involved in the most complex astronomy, that they had plotted a whole star system. This is in Kenya, Namorotunga. They found among the Dogon in West Africa that Africans had plotted an invisible star 700 years before it was discovered by European astronomers in the 20th century, and that the plotting of the orbit and trajectory of this star, which is a white dwarf, an invisible star, Sirius B, the trajectory and plotting, the plotting of the orbits and trajectories are as accurate as that done by satellites in the 20th century. Recently, yesterday in fact, just before I came here, the New York Times brought out a startling article showing that the Africans had entered the domestication of cattle in East Africa 7,000 years before it occurred anywhere else in the world. And this is one of the bases. This is one of the bases of civilization. So that you have to look again at the African. It is because the capacity of the African, the potential of the African, has been reduced in our imagination and our consciousness by these studies of primitives that we do not realize that the African was involved in things that are just as important, just as significant, and in some areas even more significant than what was happening in Europe before the Industrial Revolution. Our satellites a few months ago revealed that the Native Americans, long before the coming of Europeans, had the most intricate network of irrigation canals ever discovered in agriculture.